Next up we have Andrew DeMayo with Water in the Fields.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And a big thank you to the students, staff, and professionals gathered here tonight. My name's Andrew DeMayo, and I'm a lifelong learner, teaching and practicing innovation design and entrepreneurship. This is my first year serving as a team mentor, and when asked, I jumped at the opportunity because I knew the amazing and special things that were going on here. And I got to say that the experience exceeded any notion that I might have had before of what it was just way beyond that. I can honestly say that I learned more from these amazing students and the program content and all the guest speakers than certainly I gave back in mentorship. It's a sincere pleasure to introduce the team Water in the Fields. Their venture partner is the Episcopal Farmworker Ministry located in Dunn, North Carolina, and a big thank you to this organization for all they do to serve migrant and seasonal farm workers, especially now as our food supply depends on these important people. And so some introductions for the team. I want to thank the team's senior fellow, Craig Prince. Craig graduated from NC State with a degree in electrical engineering and a minor in Spanish. More importantly, though, Craig is a poet, and he's got a special gift of connection. Also, senior fellow is just another way of saying mentor for the team mentor. So thank you, Craig. Hannah Bain is majoring in communication, Spanish, and international studies with a minor in nonprofit studies. She plans to work in the public sector in the near term and has a long-term goal of pursuing a master's in public health with a concentration in epidemiology. Prithvi Gidaraju is majoring in biological sciences with a concentration in integrative physiology and neurobiology and minoring in Spanish and business. He plans to work as a dental assistant while undertaking an entrepreneurial endeavor focused on bringing sustainable materials and products to healthcare professionals. Prithvi's long-term goals are to become a dentist and own a clinic of his own that he can focus on public health. Olivia Merritt is majoring in natural resources policy and administration with a minor in wildlife science. She's currently looking for a summer job. She's set to graduate in May of 2021 and is interested in working in the areas of food policy and land conservation. Suri Martinez is majoring in fashion and textile management with a concentration in fashion development and product management. She would like to work as a technical pattern maker or print designer. In the long term, her interests are to be more involved with nonprofit organizations and startups. Last but not least is Miriam Shah. She's a junior majoring in chemical engineering. After she graduates, Miriam is interested in working in the aerospace industry. This team worked together like a well-oiled machine, scheduling team meetings that accomplish more in an hour than most professional settings I've witnessed. It was especially meaningful for this team to do something within the scope of this fellowship as well as have a long-term impact, and you'll see that realized in their work. It's been a sincere pleasure working with you. And with that, I'd like to hand the Zoom mic to the team. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those introductions, Andrew. Again, I'm Hannah Bain. I'm a senior majoring in communications, Spanish, and international studies with a minor in nonprofit studies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Prithvi, and I'm a senior studying neurobiology with minors in Spanish and business administration.
My name is Miriam Shah. I'm a junior studying chemical engineering.
Hi, I'm Olivia Merritt, and I'm studying natural resources policy and administration.
I'm Suri Martinez. I'm a senior in fashion and textile management with a concentration in fashion development and product management.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. We are Team Water in the Fields, and this year we worked with the Episcopal Farmworker Ministry.
According to the CDC, farm workers are 20 times more likely to die from heat-related illnesses than the average American. So this is a statistic that our team actually presented at the mid-year presentation, and it's a data point that we want to bring back into the spotlight because we think that it truly highlights the importance in the disparities and the challenges and really the arduous lifestyle that farm workers endure on a daily basis, just so that you and I can have food on our table. So when I say what are some challenges that these farm workers are experiencing, I want to take a moment and have everyone go through this imagination exercise, right? So I want everyone to imagine waking up at 4 a.m. on a Monday morning before the sun's up and hopping onto a school bus with 30 to 40 other farm workers. So this, mind you, that you're getting onto a school bus because you don't have access to your own transportation. So this school bus will take you to a massive plot of land and drop you off. And at 5 a.m., you're going to start working and picking up one fruit at a time and putting it into your basket while you have the chance of being exposed to pesticides as the temperature is rising 70, 80, 90, 100 degrees, and your body just really starts to deteriorate over time. So even if you had the chance to take a break, you're actually incentivized not to take a break because farm workers are paid by the piece and not by the hour. So you continue to work tirelessly to make a living. It's 7 p.m. now. The sun is just about to set. You hop back up onto that school bus, and then it drops you off at this dorm-style communal building, and your body is absolutely exhausted. You decide to drink a couple of beers with the other farm workers to cool off, as you rightfully should. And then you're back at it the next day at 4 a.m. And this is the lifestyle that farm workers are living through 6 out of 7 days of the week. So when our team realized that these are some of the challenges that farm workers go through, we knew that we had to do something to help. So we really asked ourselves a very simple question, and that question was, how do we improve the well-being of farm workers?
We went throughout the year really emulating the mantra of the Social Innovation Fellows: discover, design, and do good. The first piece was discover. So we did a lot of research and did activities such as concept mapping that you can see at the top left corner. We got post-it notes and wrote down themes and then grouped them together. Then we went through the design phase, which you'll hear more about in our deliverables section. And overall, throughout the year, we just want to do good for this group of people. As Fred mentioned, their lives are so difficult, and yet these people don't have a voice in government. And we hope that our work will have and make a good impact for these voiceless people that deserve to be heard.
So we started this year off by focusing on one main issue, which was farm workers' lack of access to water in the fields. And EFWM had worked with a previous student group to develop an insulated water carrier, which you can see pictured here on the slide. And that water carrier was supposed to allow farm workers to keep water on them while also keeping their hands free to work in the fields. As Prid had mentioned earlier, this was huge for farm workers because now they didn't have to walk a quarter mile up the row, take time off of work to go fill up a water bottle and bring it back or go get a cup of water. So this was really important to them. So at the beginning of the year, EFWM asked us to evaluate this water carrier. They wanted to know if it was being used and if it could be improved. And so we began researching some of the issues surrounding migrant farm workers and also talking to some of the farm workers. And one of the biggest things that we discovered during this phase was that this issue was much larger than simply a lack of access to water in the fields. And this taught us how important it is to understand the nuances and the multiple layers of really complex structural issues before jumping into developing a solution.
So our initial research in the project showed that farm workers faced a large variety of issues, and we narrowed the problems down to several main themes ranging from public policy, culture problems, illnesses, and education. And in the beginning, we were trying to come up with a solution for all of these issues. So after receiving feedback from the ministry and the social innovation labs that we did, we learned that it would be better if we focused our resources onto 1 to 2 key issues. And that way we'd be able to make more of an impact rather than trying to find a solution for everything.
And through our research, we found that dehydration was one of the biggest problems among the farm workers. So we decided to focus on this issue. And we wanted to visit the farm workers in Dunn to ask them a few questions regarding their use of the water carriers that the Episcopal Farmworker Ministry had distributed to them earlier. We also wanted to make sure that the farmers also actually faced water-related issues and viewed dehydration as a problem before we made any further assumptions. From our visit to Dunn, we realized the importance of connecting with the people we are trying to help in order to actually understand the situation and issue at hand. And we realized that sometimes an issue that we believe exists within a community is not seen as an actual issue by the community itself.
So going off of what Suri was saying, our trip to Dunn was an extremely monumental part of our project. Before we got the opportunity to go to Dunn, from the data that we collected and from the data that was presented to us, our team was extremely kind of infatuated with the idea that this was a hydration problem, and that if we came up with solutions such as water carriers or clothes that would reduce UV radiation, then we could solve the problem. But what we realized through our experiences at Dunn, North Carolina, was that this is more of a systemic problem, and it's not just hydration. So as you can see in one of the bullet points right there, the first one is power imbalance. So when our team went to Dunn and talked to the farm workers face to face, we noticed that there was a clear power imbalance. A lot of the questions that we were asking, we just could not get an answer. And it seemed like the farm workers were not as receptive until a crew leader kind of gave them the nod. So we noticed that there was a crew leader who acted as a mediator between the farmer and the farm worker. So clearly there was a power imbalance that is creating issues. Next, we have community norms. I talked about this a little earlier during that imagination exercise, that a lot of farm workers will come back and drink a beer with their fellow farm workers, as they rightfully deserve to with the amount of work that they're doing. But unfortunately, it's not a great healthy choice because the next day it could lead to even more dehydration. Next, we have lack of sanitation. Our team actually got the opportunity to walk into some of those dorm-style buildings that I was talking about, and they're kind of broken down buildings. They are living in extremely close quarters, and they're sharing a lot of communal aspects such as kitchens and bathrooms, and obviously that's a huge public health hazard. And then finally, we have inadequate policies. So again, I mentioned this earlier, but farm workers are paid by the piece and not by the hour. And so, if you're the farm worker and you have a choice between sitting down and picking as many strawberries as you can, you're going to want to keep working so that you can make as much money as you can to improve your well-being. So when we were there, it was kind of an experience that took us back. We knew that we had to shift our perspective, change our mindset about how to solve this problem. And we came back to NC State and we brainstormed new ideas, and we said, we're going to redefine the scope of our problem. So what do I mean by the scope? Like I said, we were really focused on coming up with solutions to reduce dehydration. But as Olivia is going to talk to you guys about with the deliverables that our team has come up with, we shifted our focus towards the overall health and wellness of farm workers.
So this brings us to our deliverables. We have a short-term deliverable that's a bandana, and we did this in two different ways. We started the creation of the bandana right after winter break, and I realized that sometimes a fresh start to a project can really increase productivity and creativity of a project. So the bandana has two purposes. One is practical because it's really good for farm workers to put on their face or necks to cover their skin from the sun. Also, it has a message of empowerment and reminding them to drink water. So we've had two quotations on the bandana. One is in Spanish, and it reminds farm workers to drink water because endurers drink water. And then we also have an English one that says, to those working in acres, not hours. And this really goes along with the policy piece. We want to empower these farm workers and validate the hard work that they're doing. And we also have small designs that are familiar to the farm workers that will remind them of the work that they do and they can relate to this bandana. And for the second deliverable, this is a more long-term solution that can help us define what the issues are for farm workers. We use the first $500 to print bandanas, and the second $500 we will donate to the Episcopal Farmworker Ministry so that they can do these incentivized interviews. Often farm workers are asked to do surveys and they aren't compensated at all, and we wanted to change this because their input is very valuable. And we created an interview so that the communication between the ministry and the farm workers can be increased, and the ministry can understand what issues are that are facing the farm workers.
So where are we now? We had initially planned to visit the farm workers towards the end of March to conduct the incentivized interviews, but unfortunately, due to social distancing, we weren't able to go through with it. But although we weren't able to conduct the interviews, we did translate and revise the questionnaire guide so that hopefully in the future, the Episcopal Farmworker Ministry is able to use it. And we also had planned to personally hand out the bandanas to the farm workers, but instead we ordered them and we're having them shipped directly to Dunn. Working with the Episcopal Farmworker Ministry, our group realized that effective and long-term change doesn't happen overnight, and that there will most likely not be immediate results. Personally, at the beginning of the semester, I was already looking forward to what the end results would look like, and that wasn't anything like what it is now. But we hope that the tools that we were able to come up with will help the ministry in the future and will help bring awareness to the issues that the farm workers face.
So we want to say one last huge thank you to everyone for being here tonight and listening to our presentation. Thank you to everyone at Social Innovation Fellows for challenging us and empowering us to tackle really difficult issues. Thank you to Juan and Larissa with the Episcopal Farmworker Ministry, not only for being flexible and working with us and coming to our meetings, but also for supporting this very marginalized population and giving them a voice, especially during this very difficult time that we are all facing. And then lastly, a huge thank you to Andrew and Craig for always providing us with amazing advice and feedback. We really couldn't have done it without you. This has been such a huge team effort, and we enjoyed every second of it.
Thank you, team. And I also want to thank Juan for being with us on the call tonight and all the ways that the Episcopal Farm Ministry worked with our students. That was a really meaningful exchange. So thank you and great job, team.